is this brief mortal life, if not the pursuit of legacy?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Westeros. Justin, how you doing?
Mike. This is it. I don't know if you don't mind. I just want to take a few seconds just to express my feelings of this finale in song.
Okay. Looking forward to that.
A special performance in the key of E sharp. I'm joking around. No, there's no E sharp. Key of E. What was that piece of crap? That piece of crap. That piece of crap. That piece of crap. What was that piece of crap? That piece of crap. That piece of crap. That's it. That's
Hey, Ramin Shawadi just called. He wants to talk to you. He's thinking of going with vocals and a choir next year. He wants you on it.
You know what? Let's go. Let's do it. Definitely pick me up. Let's make that into official for the official theme song for season 2. Because what was that? And that season, Mike. You know what's so funny?
What's that?
You text me on Sunday after the finale, and your text was perfectly summed up everything. But the funny thing about it is that I didn't see that text until after I woke up. From watching the finale, I actually fell asleep. That's how. That I never experienced anything like that, and I think what you wrote to me perfectly sums it up, which was WTF. That's I just shook my head and just chuckled because that's exactly what I was thinking.
I kept watching the clock and watching the time running down in the episode, and I'm like, but they haven't done anything.
Come on, do something.
But they haven't done anything.
All that speculation, man. All this talk, all these high hopes, man. Not a thing was done. The funniest thing about this that brought joy to me was just reading all the memes and all the people's reviews. The funniest thing somebody said was that was basically a 70-minute trailer for season 3. It really felt like that.
It really was. I was sitting there going, they get like halfway through it, and I'm like, how are they going to do? Because you got to do the gullet, you got to do the fish feed, you got to do the fall of King's Landing. How are they going to get any of that in? How are they going to get all of that in? Which one are they going to do? They're just going to do none of it. None of it.
None of it. Really threw me off. And it threw me off too, because we talked the last episode, expectations and stuff. You heard me. I was so certain that certain things was going to happen. I'm looking at you, Raina. You with your long running along the Olympics, your long running type of stuff across country, the Eat, Pray, Love, forgetting that you had to watch all your your father's kids to do nothing. I thought she was gonna tame that dragon. I really thought it. I was confident on it.
Yeah, it was wow. There was stuff that happened, but man, nothing that I really expected. I was looking forward to, at least give me one battle, give me one thing that was going to happen. And I really thought they were going to go with the gullet, but oh man. So I'm just going to do a quick rundown of what we got, and then we're going to roll back through them, and we're going to talk about them. We start with Tyland with the Triarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And the pirate Admiral Shrocko, who likes mud wrestling apparently, and Tyland had one question: how many wives you got?
How many?
Then we move on to we move somewhere in the Riverlands. We get Sir Crispy and Gawain. Gawain is ready to kill him. He's like, "Hey, you're screwing my sister." And Sir Crispy's like, "Well, isn't life screwing us all?" And that basically took the wind out of his sails. We have Dragonstone. We've got the Dragon Seeds and Jace have a little bit of a conflict, and then we have the most awkward dinner I've ever seen
Like
in
Thanksgiving.
a Game of Thrones show, and yeah, yeah, and then in the Crownlands we have Aemond, who's throwing a temper tantrum and burning cities,
Oh my God.
burns Sharp's Point, and then tries to force Helena into the battle, and then tries to soft touch her into the battle, and it's not working either way. And then you also have Aegon and Larys. Larys is trying to get Aegon to sneak out of town. You've got up in the Vale, you've got the worst nanny in all of Westeros, who soft dragon hunting while the kids are who knows where.
Who knows where?
Who knows where? And
What's the dragon names?
That's Sheep Stealer, yeah. And then we've got in Harrenhal, we've got basically all it takes to get Daemon out of his fever dream is for Alice to show him season 8 of Game of Thrones. And he basically lost his will to live, I guess, or will to rule, like most of us did. He just stopped caring.
Sure
And then, then you back on Dragonstone, and you have Alicent and Rhaenyra doing a flip-flop of their other conversation, but with a lot more boredom. And then you've got kind of all these teases at the end, and we'll go through those, and it's kind of like, oh, this could be good, this could be good, this could be good. Directed by, yeah. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. 70 minutes of not much happening. A lot of talking, a lot of, moving players around, and
lots of birds, more birds.
Lots of birds, more birds than I care to think about. And then see you in 2 years.
Yeah, oh my gosh. They just and the fact that it's 2 years to wait for any of the good stuff. That I thought it was a joke.
Tell me again why they couldn't do 10 episodes?
I want to know.
Because 2 more episodes would have worked really well, I think, on this season.
Absolutely. Like you said, given that we're probably like really on the cuffs of a big battle, the ones that you said, like you mentioned, that would have been perfect for those two episodes right there. Or, the famous episode 9 of the Game of Thrones series. So that could have been a nice big battle right then and there. And then some nice, cool little plot twists or shocks for episode 10, leaving people talking, wanting more for season 3 right now. Now I'm more upset than I am excited for this next upcoming season. I just feel like that's not how you do a finale. That's not how. Like I could have waited. If I would know now, I would skip season 2 and wait until season 3 started, and then like watch season 2, then enter into season 3, because what am I gonna do? I mean, I could read the books, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I haven't seen anybody be happy about this. It's pretty much universally like, what the heck just happened? What did I just watch?
Yeah. And I feel like you should learn from people's past mistakes, how they did Game of Thrones and stuff. I was so confident, especially after the first season of House of the Dragon. And I have to compare this finale to the last
I'd say the first season and a half. I mean, right up until maybe the last 2 episodes kind of tapered off a little bit.
Yeah.
But, through episode 5, I think, or through episode 6, I think this season was fine. And I don't even know why they would leave it like this. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm confused. I'm upset. I agree with you. I did like that. I felt like that send off towards Rhaenys in that battle. That was a 10 out of 10. Don't get me wrong. I thought that was good, and I understand. But a show like this, you just can't have action all the time. You need to have those slow moments for it to build up. That's how you really create a story. But I just don't understand how you spend literally the whole season, like Daemon being at Harrenhal the whole entire season.
They could have done that in 2 episodes.
2 episodes, and it could have been some wonderful.
I'll give him. You know what? I'll give him 3 episodes.
Yeah.
1 episode to set it all up. 1 episode to be really weird, and then 1 episode to resolve it. I mean, that's really all we need. That whole first part, with Tyland. Why was that so long?
Oh my gosh! Other finale, yes.
Why was that so long? I mean, that felt like it was 20 minutes. Like, why did it take that long for him to have this whole thing and this thing and the mud wrestling and the whole bit? And it's like they gave that captain like more screen time than Euron Greyjoy. I mean,
yep.
Why was that so long? I don't care about Tyland Lannister.
No offense.
Give me 6 minutes of him negotiating, and maybe one little thing. I know they wanted to throw a little humor in there with Sirocco, and that's cool. Give me 6-7 minutes of that, and we're out.
Yes, absolutely.
We did not need that to be that long.
It made no type of sense, in my opinion, and I agree with you on that at all. That could have been time spent with Damien get off of there and making his way to King's Landing, beating with Rhaenyra, and taking care of business as they mentioned. That was just I don't understand that at all.
That could have been time for the Tyroshi, for the Triarchy to come and start to break the blockade. We could have had the Battle of the Gullet. You could have, done the Tyland thing in a couple of minutes, 6-7 minutes, cut 10 minutes off of that, cut a few minutes off of everything, cut a little bit off of everything, cut a couple of minutes off of Rhaenyra and Alicent, and you could have had time to do the Gullet. And end on a big dramatic note, because the Gullet would be a big dramatic note.
And that makes me want to figure out how are you going to set that up with season 3. I get that maybe they're trying to compete with the Blood and Cheese. How that was the first episode, and that was a big old WTF moment. Oh my gosh, this is how they're starting the season, but I feel like, I don't know. And I feel like they might be biting themselves in the back, because if you're going to have too many of these big battles happening in this season, it's going to be like battle fatigue, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And also, I'm thinking about in terms of finance. If I'm not mistaken, how much do they get per season? Like, that hurts my say.
They get big money. I mean, they're getting more than Game of Thrones money.
Yeah,
and they just got renewed for 2 more seasons. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of dragon in the last 2 episodes, and that's expensive. So I could see them maybe not wanting to stage a huge dragon battle, but it's gotta be.
You gotta be faithful to the
gotta
story.
Be something.
Yeah. You gotta give me something to draw me back in, to get me excited to wait this 2.
Yeah, or show King's Landing. You don't need a lot of dragon. You need 2 dragons. It doesn't even have to be a battle. Show her coming into King's Landing. I have an idea. I have one idea why maybe they didn't want to do the Gullet, other than the money, and maybe we'll talk about that at the end in the spoiler area. But it's just the whole thing just kind of left me wanting.
I know if it has this impact on you, I know they did something wrong, because this is serious, right? Because if you're taking it like this, I did hear though that maybe we didn't see much battle is because of I'm gonna mispronounce his name, but that famous director from Game of Thrones, and he did the first season, Miguel
Sapochnik.
I definitely butchered that last name, Sapochnik. Thank you. He was not in this season. He was not in this particular season.
Yeah, so he was one of the showrunners last season.
Yes.
And he left. He's doing, I believe he's doing another project.
He needs to come back. I mean, that's what scares me with these shows, man. I watch a lot of these shows, and they get these wonderful people. I'm gonna bring in X-Men '97 real quick, because they had a great showrunner with him and Bo DeMayo,
Uh-huh.
and that first season was phenomenal, and it was he stuck to the core, like kind of like how Miguel does. Like Miguel stuck to the core, and I think Miguel's specialty is that he does these amazing battle sequence. And then, for one reason or another, these people leave the projects or they fire them from these projects, and you see the drop in quality. I'm not, and like I said, don't, and I'm really am conflicted with season 2 of House of the Dragon because I did. Don't get me wrong, Mike. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the season. I did enjoy the talks and the conversations. I just know that the potential of it could have been so much more better. Like they could have did this way better, and especially you want to compare it to like the early season of Game of Thrones. They needed to step it up big time. This is my opinion. It's just yeah, but I'm just going back on this. Going back to what I was saying earlier is that you gotta know what works for you. If it's something's not broke, don't try to fix it. Keep the same formula. Pay Miguel whatever he needs, whatever he wants, uh, and get him back here. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah, well, he's still an executive producer on the show. He's just
He needs to
not
be
like,
back as a director
yeah,
or something.
he's just not kind of day to day. And I would love to see him come in and see in episode season 3 and direct, you know, Battle of the Gullet, direct the fish feed, one of the big battles that we have coming up. I think that I agree with you, Justin. I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, I really do hope that. And Mike, another thing I want because I'm hearing from you about these battles, and because of that, I'm having these great big high expectation of these battles, and also the events like the Fall of King's Landing and whatnot. I don't want it to be like how Blood and Cheese was, how they kind of tone it down from where it was in the books and stuff, and it was kind of like it was watered down and whatnot, and the impact. Like they need to up it up. Like what made the Red Wedding so special and so horrific was the fact that it was so brutal. Like they didn't care. They didn't care about your feelings at all. And I kind of want that with these battles. I'm assuming that these battles are brutal. I'm assuming based off the books that they are raw and whatnot. I hope they don't water these things down because I'm gonna really be really disappointed with the show. I'm gonna be honest. Even more.
I think that they know, and I've heard like some interviews with like Ryan Conlon and some of the other producers with like they know the stakes of putting on something like the Battle of the Gullet. So I'm not particularly worried about it, but
Okay.
I just would have liked to have seen it. I would
Yeah.
have liked to have not have to waited,
You got 2 more years now,
2 years
buddy.
for it, for it to come back and to see it again. But
Hmm.
I mean, obviously we'll be there. We'll be watching it. And we'll be talking about it. So it's
Absolutely.
definitely just the thing. So why don't let's talk about some of the stuff that we did get.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did talk about Tyland and the pirates, and I think we understand that was just too much, too long. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care about Tyland Lannister.
You
He's not.
don't.
He's not
He's
one
not
of
my
the
favorite
guys that
character.
have like big stakes for me. And it was almost like just like a little gimme of Kristen Cole and Gawain Hightower. It was kind of like, yeah, we just want to remind you these guys are in the show before we disappear for 2 years,
And they're still
and
alive.
they're still alive for now. And
Um,
I mean, I thought it was cool that Gawain was like, going to his sister's honor or whatever, but Cole is just like so depressed right now.
yeah.
Do not think I have no shame in me, sir. The desire for women has brought me grief after grief.
Then resist it.
I would that it was so simple.
Your brothers in the King's Guard find a way.
Do they? Perhaps they do. Or perhaps all men are corrupt. And true honor is a mist that melts in the morning.
That is a bleak philosophy.
I have no philosophy. Or rather, my philosophy was this: to protect the righteous and dispense justice on the rest. But now, you saw what I saw. The dragons dance, and men are like dust under their feet. And all our fine thoughts, all our endeavors are as nothing. We march now toward our annihilation. To die will be a kind of relief.
What do you think was the breaking point for him? The fact of him seeing the feet of Aegon, and seeing like Aemon like that, or the fact that he let down Helena with the death of her child.
No, I think, well, I mean, I think there was probably a combination of things, but I think the real breaking point was for him was in Rook's Rest when, that dragon came and was torching the field, when he went over to that guy and put his hand on him and it was just ash. And it just all collapsed, and he looked around and just saw men on fire, men turned to ash, everything just completely destroyed and decimated, even his king, and when he said, we're just ashes beneath them, it's like, I think he's come to realize that, foot soldiers, infantry, what he considered to be how, this is the guy he left out of King's Landing, and he's been traveling across the countryside through the Crownlands and the Riverlands, going to these castles, going to these strongholds, and getting guys to come to their cause, building an army, building this mighty host of his that he imagined would be like the deciding factor. And then just to see it, one dragon is more powerful than that.
Yeah.
And I think it just breaks him. I almost feel bad for him, almost.
I was about to say that's what they were trying to do. They try to get you like that. And these people do something so horrible that you easily hate them, and then they give you a moment where they would want you to feel sorry for them. Like even like, oh, don't fall for the trap, Mike. He's still a douchebag.
I said almost.
Okay, all right. I thought I almost lost you there.
Lord Commander. Yeah. So let's talk about. Let's get the elephant in the room. Let's talk about Daemon and what was going on in Harrenhal. First, obviously, Alfred Broom finally shows up.
That low down traitor's little brat.
He is, absolutely. And so he finally shows up, and what's the first thing he does? He's kind of like pulling Daemon aside, and he's like, "Hey, man, it should be you, bro. You should be the one. You
got the army right now, too?
Yeah, you got the army, you got the dragon, you're a man.
Man.
It should be you." And, Sir Simon peeking around the corner. What's going on? He
goes, "Oh dear." He doesn't say that there, but that's like his.
That's what he was saying. Yeah, that's like that. I saw a lot of memes. It's like, I'm gonna send this to you when I heard your little conversation.
Yes, if I send you this, I heard your little conversation. I'm like, facts. That's my boy, though. He's a real one. He's always that's the true strong boy. He's looking out for Rhaenyra.
He is, yeah. And I found out this week that the actor who plays him, his name is Simon.
Oh yeah, you're kidding me.
and and he is a knighted British subject.
He really is.
He really is. So Sir Simon is being played by Sir Simon.
That is too funny. That you can't make this stuff up.
So Sir Simon says the little note off to Rhaenyra, and but in the meantime, Alice has got. It's time. It's time for Daemon to get out of this. And remember, we talked about a couple of weeks ago where they were setting it up where you didn't know if it was magic or if it was just drugs. If she was giving him some of that swamp gas, or there was literally magic happening. And I had said that I had chose to believe that it was magic, and turns out it is a little bit of magic.
Yes.
There are omens here for those who seek them. You do not scoff?
I'm no longer inclined to.
I'm pleased to hear it.
Do you wish then to learn what is given to you? All your life you've sought to command your own fate. But today you are ready.
So she brings him over to the heart tree, but before they even get to there, he walks into the Godswood, right? And there's somebody there. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't really.
So if you look way out in the back, there's a guy with like horns, like antlers.
Oh yeah. I see that now. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Right. So there's a lot of debate online as to what that was, but that was clearly one of the green men from the Isle of Faces. So, Harrenhal sits on the side of a lake, and it's called the God's Eye, and in that eye is an island called the Isle of Faces, and nobody goes there. Nobody's ever come back from there. But supposedly these green men live there. So that was one of them. But then he goes over to the heart tree, and he, puts his hand on the heart tree, and basically he sees the whole Song of Fire and Ice, right?
He watched with this.
He sees the White Walkers. He sees the darkness. He sees the eggs. He sees Daenerys.
That blew my mind.
Yeah. So I kind of wrote down everything that he sees, right? So, first he sees the green men. The first thing he sees is Bloodraven, who is, it's the three-eyed raven, basically, right?
The original three-eyed from
Brendan, right? That's
Brand, right?
Brendan Rivers, who we saw in Game of Thrones as an old man. This is him as a young man. Who is he's a Targaryen bastard. And and he is so he's the first three-eyed raven, and he's the one who we see as an old man in Game of Thrones, played by Max von Sydow. And so that's the first thing he sees. He sees the White Walker and the Whites. Then we see a bunch of dead dragons.
Yes.
So I think this is the storming of the dragon pit, which
is that after Dance of the Dragons we're currently watching?
It's part of it.
Oh, okay.
So it's part of the whole series of events that'll happen. There'll be there'll be a riot in King's Landing, and part of that riot will be that people will go to the Dragon Pit, and like the whole mass of people will go to the Dragon Pit, and it's called the Storming of the Dragon Pit. Then we see Daemon falling into the water, which is probably the God's Eye. We see the bleeding star, the red comet from
which is also in
Game of Thrones season 2, which is part of the prophecy of Azor Ahai and the prince that was promised. Then we see the eggs that Daemon found that Rhaena's supposedly taking to Pentos.
I know, supposedly.
But they're on their way to Pentos. And then we see, Daenerys and her 3 dragons. Then he goes to they're in the throne room, and he sees the Iron Throne, and then he sees Rhaenyra on the Iron Throne with her crown.
Rhaenyra.
What?
Grown
Rhaenyra, right? Not the young Rhaenyra he had seen last time. This is grown Rhaenyra on the Iron Throne, and then finally he sees Helaena.
It's all a story. And you're but one part in it. You know your part.
Which was crazy too. She was talking to him.
She was talking to him. She was telling him he has to play his part. And I thought was really cool was when they cut away from that vision, they cut right to Helaena.
Mm-hmm.
And she's on the balcony looking over King's Landing. She's wearing the same clothes. She's kind of staring off into the thing. And so you get this feeling that she was literally in that vision talking to him. Like somehow like her magic and Alice's magic were kind of commingling, if you will.
Yeah. It makes you feel like do you think they know each other? Do they have some special connection? Or they just happen to be both two people, like basically what you're just saying right now. This has happened to intertwine with each other. I don't know. But I thought that was very interesting how Alex starts it, and then you have Helaena that's ending it in regards to Daemon with this dream.
Yeah. So I don't know. So Alice is clearly, she's a green seer, and with her it's clearly the magic of the old gods. And Helaena and her visions, I don't know where they come from, but so it's either she's a green seer as well, and it's the same type of magic, or it's just, it's wherever Helaena is, it's just kind of overlapping with wherever Alice is, and Daemon is kind of that linchpin, right? He's the key, because right now, Daemon's decision, the whole future hinges on Daemon's decision right now, right?
Really?
Well, think about it. If Daemon, because Alice shows Daemon, right? She's already told him, she's like, you're not the player, you're just a piece on the board. And Helena's like, you need to play your part. And he's going through all these visions of of his brother telling him, the crown, you've always wanted this, you really want it. I never wanted it. Daemon saying Rhaenyra never wanted it. And he needs to come to this realization that he's not the person, that in order to fight off this thing that he's seen now, Westeros needs to be united, and Rhaenyra is the person to do that. He needs to come to that realization. And he needs to make a decision right now. If he decides, I'm going to take this army and I'm going to King's Landing and I'm going to take the Iron Throne, then that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
Right? The darkness wins. But if Rhaenyra takes the Iron Throne, then maybe there's a chance. And maybe that future that he's seen will come to clue. But he still needs to decide, that that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. He, it seems like to me like he's made that decision when, we see later on when the Rhaenyra comes through. But I go back and forth and say, like, I feel like that was a little bit too easy for Damon just to automatically flip sides. But just a few episodes, he was just telling Alice that, if Rhaenyra wants to join me at King's Landing, she can by my side. As I truly rule. But then again, I get those visions happen, and those were the catalysts to make him change his mind. But I mean,
Right, but don't forget, Alice knows, what's coming. She understands. She's a green seer. She understands about the long winter. She knows what could happen. And, she's got to get Damon to come around. And she tried to do it by reasoning with him, by talking with him, by telling him, by, pointing out that, Jaehaerys never wanted it. Rhaenyra didn't want it. Maybe that's why it came to them. Maybe you can't want it.
Right.
And I don't want it. And
I don't want it.
and none of that was working, right? So
Right.
she needs to go all the way and show him really what's happening. And kind of download the whole thing into him. And so I don't think I'll tell you this. I don't think it's surprising. And I think, this is that moment is one of the most important moments in the season when he makes that decision that no, it has to be Rhaenyra because of what he now knows. It's kind of like when, like when Jaehaerys told Rhaenyra, when Rhaenyra told Jace, he now knows what's at stake and what has to happen. And, so the fact that he's now made this decision to move forward because it has to be Rhaenyra, I think that's one of the most important things we've seen so far this season in terms of the larger story.
Yeah, I agree. That part was actually I think it was good fan service, but at the same time, it's very pivotal to the whole lore of Game of Thrones. Basically, I'm just repeating what you're saying, but it really is a staple. I think moving forward as well to him having that vision and being willing to accept it and just to move to play his part now. So now I'm very curious to see moving forward what exactly is his part in this story. And then he even says something like that too. He says, I'm basically gonna be working with you, Rhaenyra, till death or till the end of our story. I was like, that's interesting for him to say that as well.
You are the true queen, Rhaenyra. First of her name, protector of the realm. I am meant to serve you, and all of these with me, until death, or the end of our story.
Right, well, he doesn't know what's going to happen. He doesn't know what... I mean, he maybe saw a piece of his future, but he doesn't know how the whole thing's going to wind out, but he just knows that this is the path that they need to be on. And, so when Rhaenyra comes with her backup.
Mm-hmm.
And,
getting her man.
And, coming to put her man in line and call him out and be like, so what's it going to be?
Yeah. Which was needed. She had to do that.
Yeah. But he does the right thing. Obviously he comes and he does the right thing. And he kneels before her and then he rallies up the troops.
Yeah.
And gets them going. And Alpha Broom's kind of sitting in the corner like, okay, yay. Ooh, yay, Rhaenyra.
I'm gonna take a step back. I hope that she don't see me. Now who don't call me out? I said, man, what a coward.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not done with him.
Oh gosh, Mike. Okay, all right.
All right, so let's talk about over in Dragonstone. You've got your dragon seeds over there.
Oh my God!
At first
Mike, don't get me started.
first they've got that meeting with Jace. So Jace is not very happy with this whole thing going on. Kind of understandably so, although it kind of was his idea.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was saying like technically this is Jason's idea. He's the one that offered this to his mom, but I think he was expecting highborn dragon seeds. You know what I mean? Like people who are high worth. But I mean, the dragons want what the dragons want. You know, you can't beat that.
Yeah, and these are all Targaryens. In some cases, a lot more Targaryen than, I mean, you can make the argument that, guys like Ulf have more Targaryen blood than Jace does.
I think Alt is making that argument for him already. He called him out.
Yeah.
He called him a strong boy and called out his hair color. I was like, oh man, when they do something like that, and like I always tell you, I haven't read the book so far. To me, it's kind of foreshadowing. Like maybe Jace and Alpha are gonna probably have added at some point on the dragons. That's why I see it already. Which I think Jace definitely will love because he can't stand the sight of Ulf. And I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody can stand the sight of Ulf nowadays. I mean, he seems to lack some social graces.
Very much. He was very disrespectful towards the queen when she was talking. He was just I think he was feeling himself a little too much.
Yeah, when she's like, I expect knights at my table to behave or to act with decorum or whatever, and he's like, well, maybe not then. It's like I don't think that's what she was thinking.
Yeah, definitely was not. I think she's kind of thinking in the back of her head, she says, oh my gosh, what did I do? I think I may have made a mistake here. That was just
it's not like she had a lot of choice. I mean, like you said, Silverwing chose what Silverwing chose.
Yeah, that is true. But
she needs the dragons.
Yes, but that's the thing though. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but this is honestly the stuff I just be thinking about. Like they made it known that these dragons they're not Fisher Price toys. You know what I mean?
Right.
These are legit nuclear items. These are big weapons. And they just give it to anyone. Like I think even it's so hard to even do because the way they did it. But like I think they should have found another way to scan these people out. Like I feel like Adam O'Hole is somebody that's legit. I think even I forgot his name already. You just said it. The Hole. Hugh Hole.
Hammer.
Am I saying
Hugh Hammer?
Hugh Hammer. Excuse me. Yeah, I think he's legit. For the most part, you know what I mean. Like I trust, but somebody like you guys, it's like a job interview. You got to sit down and interview these people. Like know what what's the real true intention. I feel like with somebody with Ulf is because he definitely has that. He's probably gonna sell himself to the highest bidder. You know what I mean? Just because he's gonna probably learn what he can learn from Rhaenyra and from Jace. How to work the dragon, how to fly the dragon, how to command the dragon. And I feel like once he knows that stuff, he's gonna probably take his services elsewhere. Maybe the Greens, maybe that'd be a third party. I don't know. But I just feel like that's the type of person that Ulf is.
Well, he seemed to be a little put off by the fact that, like, oh, I have to be burning people. I mean, these guys are kind of like, oh, it's cool. Let's we have dragons and we're gonna be knights and we're here with the queen and blah 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 blah. But the realization is coming upon them what that means. and what's going to be asked of them.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Wait,
like,
was he the one that made that remark about killing the people? That was him, right?
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah. And, you know, these guys they're gonna all have to make decisions, right? Don't forget, these are, yeah, they're Targaryen blood, but they haven't been raised Targaryens. There's no, like,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
although, you know, one of the things that came up was like, you know, Rhaenyra was like, oh, people are, like, highborns are loyal. You know, we know about their loyalty, and it's like, really? Because your brother usurped your crown,
Sure
and
did.
how loyal, those Masarias, like, how loyal have they really been to you? And sometimes you need to go look in other places or at other things. Think outside the box. You know, like they say, you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
I
And
love that quote. Yes.
and she's playing to win. So you've got to use everything that's in your power, everything that you could possibly get. And sometimes these uncertain people is the only chance you got.
And that's another thing. I've been saying this a lot, Mike. I've been saying it in the previous episodes. I'm gonna bring it up again. So far, her taking that risk of playing the Game of Thrones and getting these people seems to be really good. Like, goes back to that episode 7 shot where Aemon is turning around, and then there's that close up, that scene. I love it. When they're walking up with all the dragons, and it makes you feel like basically if you was to end that in the series right there, you'll have the mind like, oh, Rhaenyra basically won. She got all the dragons. But I said it before, and I'll say it again. When something's too good to be true, especially in Game of Thrones, you better believe it. I feel like there's gonna be some crazy stuff going to go down in regards to these dragons. Just because she has all these dragons, they have to do something. There has to be something that's going to even the playing field, because clearly Helena's not going to be on Dreamfire. Clearly, that was making me think too. I'm jumping everywhere, but if Helena's not going to be willing to ride Dreamfire, I feel like that's basically she just sealed her own death sentence. I feel like she might die sooner than expected, and I'm gonna be a mess because I love Helena. But I think that's gonna release Dreamfire from that bond, and someone else is gonna claim Dreamfire and into the battlefield. That's what I personally think. Just like how, like, with what's his name, Leonor, quote unquote, died, and Seasmoke was able to now have Adam a Hole. I think something like that's gonna happen with Helena. I don't want that. I hope I'm wrong, but then again, I know this is Game of Thrones, and if she doesn't die like that, she's gonna die another way because we just know how these things are. But I don't know. Am I hitting on the nail, Mike?
I will say that I don't think that there will be another writer of Dreamfire.
Interesting.
But like I said, they change stuff all the time, so
They do. They sure do. But just don't keep your eyes out on the upcoming season. I don't know how. You know what though? I feel like it could also be a rabbit trail too. Like, they want you to think that someone like Ulf, whatever his name, Ulf, is gonna be the main one, but it could be someone else. It could even be Jace. You don't know. You do not know.
yeah, I think the thing is they've changed enough out of the books to leave people like questioning what's going to happen. Like, we can't be certain just because something was in the book, because they've already said time and time again that the book is a story, is a recount of someone telling this history, and those narrators may be unreliable, and So you don't really know necessarily what happened until you see it in the show. So you may say, oh, this person is a betrayer, goes to the other side, or this person dies, or this person kills this person. You know, that may just be part of the story. And you don't really know what the real outcome is going to be. Right. So for instance, in the blood and cheese thing, you know, they had another son. Helena and
Yes,
Aegon had another son.
this is
And so
true.
that embellished the story a little bit. Well, what if they didn't? What if that was just a fabrication, right? That they didn't have the other son, because that other son has a really terrible ending, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
so I guess I could say it because it's not going to be in the air because they don't have the son. So there's another son, Maelor, I think his name is, and he's the one who survives. And but eventually he has to escape King's Landing, so he goes with his sworn sword. You know, he's a small child, but like the mob sees them, and attacks them, kills the King's Guard, and then they can't decide what to do with the child, if they're gonna ransom the child, or they just should kill the child or whatever. And so there's like a riot over them, and basically the crowd like literally rips the child apart. You know.
Oh my gosh.
So obviously that's not going to happen because that child doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's not really a spoiler because it's something that they've cut out of the story completely. Like, you know, like we talked about Nettles. Nettles is out of the story. So there's enough discrepancy from the book, or that it's kind of like, oh, we can't be certain what's going to happen until it happens. So
Yeah. So now we just have to rely solely on the show, on where they're going to take us.
exactly.
In that, in regards, in the concept, in the realm of the show itself.
Right.
I
No,
mean,
I would imagine that a lot of the big strokes are probably going to happen. They just may not necessarily happen in exactly the way. And even some stuff, there's questions in the book about how a particular thing happened. So maybe we get to see, you know, I won't say particularly who, but there's one person who dies, and there's a question over whether this person committed suicide or was murdered. Maybe we'll get to see that. You know, maybe we'll have an answer to that.
And full spoilers for everybody. In case y'all didn't know, everybody's gonna die. So, you know, the speculate, because
Eventually, yeah. I mean, by the time we get to Game of Thrones, everybody's dead, so everybody's gonna die.
Yes. So I don't want people to be saying, "Oh my God, what?" No, everybody's gonna have
right. By the time we get to Game of Thrones, every single one of these people is dead. So.
Yes. This is not going to be a happy ending.
Right. Some of them maybe have happier endings than others. Pretty much none of them. And some will survive the Dance of Dragons.
Wow.
A lot of them won't.
You know, and this was and I'm going to tread lightly, Mike, because I don't know, and I hope I don't get myself in trouble, but that prophecy that Helena gave Aemon, in regards to Aemon and also Aegon, has me scared a little bit. Because, you know, I'm Team Black, and it has me scared for Rhaenyra, because she did say that Aegon will, I think she said, Aegon will reclaim the throne, or will sit on the throne again. But then she also mentioned that it would be a wooden throne.
It would be a wooden throne, right?
Yeah, and people are claiming that throne might be just basically like on a wheelchair. But I mean, don't. I hate to say this, because as I'm Team Black, even as a Team Black person, you can't count Aemon out, because he's leaving with Larys, and Larys is a very dangerous person. To me, he's just as dangerous as Littlefinger. And Littlefinger can make things happen with people, and I think Larys can make things happen. So I think when they come back, it's gonna be crazy. I'm scared for. I'm not scared for Aemon because I hope somehow he gets some type of revenge against Aemon, but scared also for my girl Rhaenyra as well
Yeah.
too because.
Well, I mean, think about what she says. She says,
Aegon will be king again. He's yet to see victory. He sits on a wooden throne. And you'll be dead. You were swallowed up in the god's eye, and you were never seen again.
I could have you killed.
It wouldn't change anything.
Aegon will be king again. He's yet to see victory. He sits on a wooden throne, and you will be dead. You are swallowed up in the god's eye, and you are never seen again.
I was like, dang, I kind of got upset with Helena as well too, Mike. I'm like, dang girl, spoil the rest of the show for me. She just flat out spoiling it. I was like, I was upset with that, but
Well, I will point out that there was an episode in Game of Thrones season 4, I think.
It might have been even 3.
It might have been in 3. It may have been in 3.
I'm just watching it. Yeah.
It may have been in 3,
but
it basically it was Joffrey and Marjorie, and he basically laid out exactly what happens, and at the end of the dance,
he read the book.
He read the book at the end of the Dance of Dragons. So, if you watch Game of Thrones, you've already been spoiled.
Yeah, but you know what though? I was aware of this, and I'm like as I mentioned before, I'm currently rewatching it, and I got to that scene. I immediately when he started to talk, I fast forward so fast because my mind doesn't. I don't fully remember. It wasn't really capturing that, all that portion. But I just knew it was that scene right there, and I fast forward so fast. Skip the whole scene, which I was sad because I love watching Cersei and Olenna, and both of them. But when they're together, it's just even better. So that was something I had to forfeit, but just to save me a few more years of just suspicion, because in my mind right now, the way I'm going to tell you how I feel, how I would like it to end, Mike. Right now, I always like to see Rhaenyra take back her rightful throne that her father gave to her, and she's sitting and she's chilling and she's ruling, and they live happily ever after. And somehow Crispy Cole's dead, Aemon's dead, and everybody's just chilling. There's nobody just to challenge her or anything.
Did you just say happily ever after? Don't make me call Ramsay.
Oh, what did Ramsay say?
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
I know, Mike. I'm being wild. And spoiler for those who haven't watched Game of Thrones, I'm gonna say this. There's a famous, very funny and famous picture out there of Jon Snow and Daenerys, all like a Disney type of aspired picture, and they got like 3-4 kids, and they got little baby dragons, little baby wolves, and it was like the ending that they should have been. It was a very happy ever inspired thing. But I think that's where also the humor is, because where you're basically going, Mike, is that if you are in true Game of Thrones lore, there's no such thing as happily ever after. So
There's really not. There's really not.
Mike, let me live in my little fantasy. Let me be swim in the river of denial right now and just think that. All right.
But you know better.
I know. I know. And let me tell you something. I had a little glimmer of hope. I mean, I did fall asleep through most of the ending part, and I haven't really watched the full ending. But we did see Rhaenyra and Alicent, and for somehow, and that's my boy, by the way, the master. I forgot his name. The one that made minding his own business. He made it happen somehow. Yeah, all around. He made it happen for Alice to go. I think she was at Harrenhal, right? Because that's where Rhaenyra was stationed at the point.
No,
But
well, she was back in Dragonstone when that happened.
Oh, she was back at Dragonstone. Okay,
Yeah.
so back in Dragonstone. Thank you. And like you said, they had the reverse conversation. Now this time is Alicent pleading, and Rhaenyra basically said, if you want this, I have to have Aegon's head. And it looked to me that Alicent, this is the happy ever after for me.
What of Aegon?
He's broken beyond recognition. He lies in the dark in pain and terror. He has many faults, but he still heeds his mother. I believe I can prevail upon him to bend the knee.
No, still. You defend him. Still you imagine you can have all you want without paying too high a price. A price I had no choice but to pay.
Is to set things right.
If I am to take the throne, I must put an end to the opposition. I must take Aegon's head. And I have to do it for all to see. You know this. However you may try to evade it, you know this. Choose.
She somehow agrees, because you know what? Take his head and take the throne. And let this be the end of it. So that's how it is in my mindset, for at least for the next 2 years. That Rhaenyra's gonna go over there and take care of business, even though Aegon's leaving. She's just gonna ignore. No, she has to go search for him, because he's the success that's gonna challenge her. But let's say she finds him, takes him out, and they live happily ever after, despite the vision of Helena.
It could happen. I mean,
that's my world.
I think Alicent has basically written off both Aemon and Aegon, and so she just wants to go out in the woods and live in peace with Helena and her kids and Daeron and her good kids and write off the two jerks, and is what it is.
It is what it is. Which blows my mind too, because I feel like Aegon, I don't know, like that scene where she walks away after he got burned and he says mommy or mummy.
Yeah.
That to me, I'm just like that. Like he longs to have a connection with her, and I feel like if things are allowed and he's allowed to live somehow,
right?
I think that there could be something that could be salvaged there. Now with Aemon, there's no way.
Not at all. Aemon's a lost cause.
He's a lost cause.
Aemon is so wrapped up in his anger and desire for power or recognition, like Daemon, but except Daemon has evolved and Aemon hasn't.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what's gonna happen with Aemon, because if I'm not mistaken, Aemon is heading to Harrenhal.
Well, he'll get there eventually.
I bet. And I bet he's gonna have the same exclusive resort and experience as other people. So who knows? Maybe that could be a change for him.
Daemon may not be there, but you know who is going to be there?
I sure know that little owl. That little owl.
That little barn owl is going to be there, and I don't think she's done.
No, she's still got a part to play as well too. I love saying stuff like that. I think she definitely does. So I'm hoping we see something like that in the next season. I hope that's not going to be season 4, because there's a lot of things I'm hoping and expecting for season 3.
Yeah. So let's talk about where we left off, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the things that we saw.
Yes.
So in that kind of montage at the end, right? We saw the Hightower army.
Yep.
With with Tazarian,
Finally,
and Darren, although we didn't see Darren, but so the Hightower army is on the march. They've obviously have problems, right? So they were saying like the Tyrells were beefing with them, and they've had some issues going on down in the Reach, but they are now on the march, and heading for the Riverlands. We saw the Lannister army and their lions.
Yes, the lions.
They're on the march, heading for the Riverland. Everybody's heading for the Riverlands. We saw the White Wolves, right? The Greybeards from the north marching across the Twins. Thank you, Jace.
Thank you, Jace. He handled that.
And so they're coming. So there's going to be obviously a lot of something going on somewhere in the Riverlands in the middle of the country. We saw the Triarchy on the sail and heading for the Valerian fleet.
Oh boy, Coriolis.
Coriolis is, we spent a whole season watching him get his boat fixed, and we never see him on his boat.
I know.
So what happens when you spend all your CGI money on dragons? And then you see Aegon and Larys in a wagon sneaking out of King's Landing. Where could they be going?
Essos or Pentos, right? That's what I'm assuming.
Well, he's trying to get them to Pentos, but they may wind up taking a side trip.
Oh Lord. Reminds you of Hound and Arya. Okay, we'll see this pair.
And then probably the biggest question is we see Otto in a cage.
In a cage. That was there was no things that kind of led into this. But
no.
Last time we saw Otto, he was leaving.
He was leaving to go to. He was going to go to Old Town, but then who told him? Was it Aemon? Somebody told him to go to, it was Allison, right? Told him to go to Highgarden because they had to get the Tyrells under control. So the question is, who has Otto in a cage?
Yeah. And I want to take back what I said for a few seconds because I said there was no scenes leading to that. I stand corrected. There was that scene with Allison and her brother talking. They say, well, I've been sending ravens to father, but he hasn't been responding to me.
Right.
So that kind of connects to that. Like, well, now we know why he ain't responding.
Exactly. So it's a question of who has him and why do they have him. And so I've seen a lot of things floating around the internet. I'm going to dismiss some of them. One is people are speculating that Jane Eyre has him.
Yeah, why would she have him? That's weird.
Well, I mean, because she feels betrayed by him. But one, how would he get to the Vale? Why would he be in the Vale? And also, I would think Jane Eyre would have him in a sky cell.
Oh yes, you think that was there during that time?
Of course, the Eyrie is hundreds of years old.
Oh my gosh, that's the perfect way to say, hey, Otto, do you mind taking just 3 steps to the left, right next to that little moon door?
Yep.
Thank you.
People have speculated that the Tyrells have him, and I think this is possibly likely.
Now, who's the Tyrells in House of the Dragon? Help me.
So the Tyrells are, Elena Tyrell, right? They have.
For Game of Thrones. Okay.
They have Highgarden.
Okay. Yes. And Marjorie and all of them. Okay.
Right. So after the conquest, so there was the King of Highgarden who Aegon the Conqueror killed, and he gave the Reach over to the Tyrells, and so the Tyrells are, they are in charge of the Reach where all the food is, and but they've had some issues with the High Towers. So So there's a little back and forth there. So it could be them. It could be, I've seen speculated that it could be Laris had him all along.
I believe so. I do believe.
Now that, Laris is high-footing it out of King's Landing, maybe he's letting him go, or he's being liberated. That's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
In the book, it was Otto who went to the Triarchy. So maybe they have him, and they're releasing him now that they've made an alliance.
This is very interesting. This is all the speculation I'm just thinking about. Yeah, we definitely get our answer in 2 years. But
yeah,
I even heard somebody say that like the person that was walking up on Otto to release him, I don't think you're gonna believe this at all. I was gonna say what they said was Helena herself.
Okay. I mean, I didn't see anything to
evidence
that, but could be. Especially if he was in King's Landing. I mean, I would think that Laris would have him in one of the black cells, but maybe he's got him, just got somebody has him stashed somewhere. And, Helena saw it and was able to go free him. Never know.
I feel like it's also not her character in this one, too. Like, I just don't see that.
Yeah, I don't either. I think that's probably not likely.
Yeah.
So, a lot of questions for us that we have to ponder for 2 years.
I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, Mike.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess we'll be watching A Night of the Seven Kingdoms in the meantime.
Yes.
Whenever that comes out.
No, it's definitely still. I saw the trailers for 2024, 25. All the shows that HBO Max are handing out, and it is confirmed that A Night of the Seven Kingdom is coming out in 2025. My speculation, though, is probably going to be just like how House of the Dragon's been released. It's going to probably be like a June to August release, like maybe between either of those months, June, July, or August. So I'm expecting that. For what I want to read for people on the comments, I had not read the story of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms from George R.R. Martin, but people are saying that it's a great story, and they're just hoping that whoever's taking the hold of it is not going to mess it up.
Yeah. I haven't read it yet. I will have by the time it comes out. I've actually got it on my library list. I'm on the wait list for it. So.
Oh, so at your local library?
Yeah. Well, the digital edition of it. It'll get sent to my Kindle.
They have a waiting list for a digital copy of the book.
Yeah, because they have a specific number of copies. They don't just keep copying it over. Like they have a specific number of copies that they're licensed for the library.
Okay, okay.
It's just like having a book.
Okay.
They can't just make like multiple copies of it.
Okay. All right. But yeah.
So, but we're probably still a year away from that. So.
Yeah, definitely a year away. They canceled the Jon Snow project, so
they canceled the Jon Snow project, but apparently there's like a couple of other Game of Thrones projects that are in the works. So.
I'm looking forward to it. That's like Game of Thrones is such a massive franchise. Like they recognize it. They're gonna milk it for as much money as they possibly can. And I'm not mad at it though. As long as it's good quality stuff, man. Like you said, the first season of House of the Dragon and the first half of House of the Dragon was great stuff. So keep on putting stuff like that out.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense. Stick to the source material and just make it You should not go wrong with it.
So they're gonna supposedly they're working on like a story of Aegon's conquest. I don't know why they just don't make it like part of House of the Dragon, but
Yeah.
Supposedly they're working on that. They have a writer on that one. Supposedly they're developing like a young Corlys Valerian story.
I heard that was like fishy waters. Let me do. Yeah, I did hear that. I don't know, fishy waters. No pun intended. Excuse me.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Supposedly they're working on, this is way out, like a prequel that's set like 1,000 years ago. That's about like the
Long Night.
Like no, like the Andals coming to Westeros.
Okay.
Like Nymeria and their army coming to Dorne and all that. Or the Ronar coming to Westeros, so they're working on that. And there's a couple other things that they've talked
I think
about
the Long
doing.
Night too. The first Long Night.
Right. So a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff still to do in this universe here.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good. We're gonna be eating really, really well, you guys.
We are more birds, more little birds.
More birds.
I need more little birds.
Oh man!
All right, so that is season 2, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon.
Man, what a ride! What a ride!
What a ride it has
was.
been.
Yes, thank you so much, Mike, for allowing me being a part of this journey. First of all, I'm a big fan of the movie punditry with you and Randall. So for me to be a part of this is such a honor and a blessing.
Yeah, it's an honor and a blessing to have you along.
Thank you so much. And if you don't mind, can I just give a quick Raven shout out, Obsidian Raven, to my dear, dear friend John, who has been a very active listener over the series of this particular podcast of House of the Dragons. He's been very much interested in hearing this. And he has such a high respect for you, Mike, and your knowledge of this as well. He's a very smart man as well. So I'm glad that he was able to listen as well, along with the rest of you viewers and listeners.
Absolutely. John and all the rest of you, thank you so much. I guess Justin and I will see you probably in about a year when Night of the Seven Kingdoms hits, because we're definitely going to be doing that one. And then,
making it down?
Because we can't wait 2 years.
No,
definitely not happening. All right. Peace out. Follow Margolis.
My God, I don't know. What's the other way?
Valor de Iris.
Valor de Iris. Yes.